Hello, and thank you for watching this regional forecast for the Corn Belt. I'm Andrew Pritchard, Senior Meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. So check out the satellite and lightning picture here on Tuesday morning. Several clusters of thunderstorms evident from the Great Lakes all the way back to the Central Plains, and we can see those when we look at the radar picture here. The most intense thunderstorms moving across the northern half of Wisconsin right now, but other showers and storms across the Dakotas, parts of southern Minnesota. We've got a decaying area of showers and storms right now across parts of eastern Kansas. And then this is just radar artifacts here across eastern Texas. You don't need to call your friends and family down there. There is not an enormous storm across that region right now. It's actually a quite pleasant morning, if not for the heat and humidity across that region. We can see that here, the 6 a.m. temperatures. Again, a warm and humid air mass returning from the south. We've got cooler conditions right now across the eastern Corn Belt. Low humidity temperatures in the upper 50s and lower 60s. Short-lived in that region, though, as heat continues to move off to the east or shift off to the east as we head into the later part of the week and especially into this weekend. The last 3 days of precipitation, again, scattered corridors of thunderstorms. Pretty severe corridor here on Saturday afternoon and evening from southern Minnesota across eastern Iowa down into northern and central Illinois, even down into central Indiana at times. Strong winds and large hail, and even here in central Illinois, right here in Champaign-Urbana, Illinois, my home in Urbana sustained quite a bit of damage. We had 2 windows blown out. All of our window screens on the north side of the house are destroyed, shredded by the hail. And then we've got aluminum siding on the side of the house, which was just kind of looks like a golf ball right now, the surface of a golf ball anyway, with all the pings from quarter to golf ball size hail that was blown by 50 to 60 mile per hour winds out of the north with those storms. So a rather volatile day Saturday, several days of volatile weather across parts of the Corn Belt. We can see those reports here again, all the blue here and the green, the damaging wind and hail reports, some of those significant at times across parts of the central and eastern Corn Belt. And again, as we look at the total precipitation forecast here between now and the next several days, we're going to continue to see several corridors of showers and storms across the midsection of the Corn Belt. We can see the severe weather forecast for the next 3 days. Here is today, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday as a frontal boundary slowly makes its way across the region. We'll take the drawings off there. Today's threat going to be highest across northern and central Wisconsin back into southeastern Minnesota. I think this area's got the best chance for significant hail and maybe a couple of tornadoes. But as we head into the later part of the evening and into the overnight, we'll see additional thunderstorms beginning to develop down that front across central Iowa into northern portions of Missouri, back toward the Kansas City area. And then as you follow the front back toward the high plains, even across southeastern Colorado, southwestern Kansas, the chance for some large hail and some damaging winds with thunderstorms popping up across that region this evening and tonight. As we head into the day tomorrow, we'll watch for that threat to shift off to the east, parts of Missouri into central Illinois, the chance for some damaging wind, large hail, maybe a tornado or 2 in that region, and then we'll continue to shift that threat off to the south and to the east on Thursday with the threat for severe storms across the Ohio River Valley and then again back across the high plains. The reason for all this is we could take a look at the jet stream picture. We've got a trough across northern Canada, across the Canadian prairie, with a cold front, an area of low pressure up there, a cold front kind of hanging back across the northern and central plains. We talked about that just a moment ago, but then you see the very strong jet stream winds coming over the top of that. So we've got a frontal boundary interacting with this warm and humid air mass, and then we've got the upper level support of those very strong jet stream winds to help take those thunderstorms in, sustain them, and take them to severe levels, moving them from west to east across the region. So the response at the surface, as we kind of look a little bit lower, not necessarily the surface, but at 850 millibars, you can see the area of low pressure situated across the Canadian prairie, the flow around that, the counterclockwise flow. You can see the frontal boundary making its way off to the south there, and then the response at the surface, warm and humid air coming up from the north or from the south across the Gulf of Mexico. So keeping the Gulf open, that is key to this pattern, a very hot pattern, but one that has plenty of moisture here for showers and storms. And then again, the upper level support to take those storms and make them more long-lived and potentially reach severe levels. So let's look at the high-resolution NAM model. We'll take a look at the severe storm forecast here as we head through the next several days. As we head through the midday, early afternoon, and mid-afternoon hours today, much of the thunderstorm threat is going to be across parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin. And again, that's where I think that most robust severe weather threat is going to end up be kind of right in this circle as we head through the afternoon and early evening hours. The chance for some large hail, damaging winds, and even a few tornadoes, especially across northern and central Wisconsin. As we head into the later part of the evening and into the overnight, again, things will begin to spread off to the south along that front from central Iowa down to the Kansas City area, and then follow the front all the way back to the high plains here, thunderstorms popping up across central Kansas back into southeastern Colorado. As we head through the overnight, likely a very stormy night across this region from eastern Kansas across northern Missouri into portions of southern Iowa as that frontal boundary begins to light up, also aided by a shortwave, a little ripple within the flow coming in from the central plains. So heavy rain, maybe some severe weather continuing through the overnight, and then what's left of those storms, that will be the deciding factor here on how volatile the air mass is with that severe weather threat on Wednesday afternoon and evening from central Missouri into central Illinois. If we see those morning storms tomorrow begin to decay, we see cloud cover begin to break up, and we get the sunshine coming out, allowing the atmosphere to destabilize across this region. Rather potent wind fields would suggest maybe a sizable risk for some significant wind damage across this corridor from parts of eastern Missouri into central Illinois, and also the potential for a couple of tornadoes with those strong wind fields. But all of that is going to depend on how much instability we have. Several of the models right now lean towards maybe a higher end severe weather threat. The high resolution NAM model here keeps that rain and cloud cover lingering across the target area. If you look at the time here, 2 o'clock, I would want to see this area clear and heating up by this time if we're really going to be talking about widespread severe weather. So maybe some good news across central Illinois areas that were badly hit already over the weekend, maybe not necessarily needing another round of strong storms to come through. But at any rate, this model does still break out at least scattered storms as we head into Wednesday afternoon and evening across this region, and a few of those could become severe. So as this line moves from west to east across the region and into central portions of Indiana by the overnight hours tomorrow, we'll have to watch out for the potential for some severe storms. As we head into the day on Thursday, the frontal boundary will be kind of stalled across the Ohio River Valley back into the central plains, and this is where we'll watch for those scattered storms to develop once again Thursday afternoon and evening. So total precipitation, now if you're good at picking yourself out exactly on a map here, try not to read too much into the details here, just to understand the pattern. We'll head through the afternoon hours with that chance for storms across this region, expanding into the overnight hours here across parts of the Kansas City area back across the state of Kansas into southeastern Colorado. We'll then watch for the overnight threat to be highest here tonight into tomorrow morning. And then as we head into Wednesday afternoon and evening, what color haven't we used? We'll use magenta here. The Wednesday afternoon and evening into the overnight thunderstorm threat highest across this region right here. So it's kind of your timing there. That's where the chance for those clusters of storms will be. Not everyone's going to get hit by these, but at least a good chance for a soaking rain if you missed out on it over the last several days. Fingers crossed that we can do it without too much in the way of damaging severe storms. This is a general pattern that's going to be lasting potentially into the end of July here as we look at the precipitation anomaly forecasts for the 4 to 10 day time frame, and then the week 2 time frame, so 7 to 14 days. A bit of overlap there, but this helps us get to the other side of the thunderstorm forecast here over the next 2 days, and seeing that we just kind of continue to keep higher than normal precipitation chances in here from the northern plains down into parts of the eastern Corn Belt, as we see flow coming up over the top of the ridge, which is going to be kind of anchored across the west. And so we'll see ridge-riding storms coming up and over the top of that. Often thunderstorm complexes developing across the Dakotas or parts of Nebraska, Iowa, and Minnesota, and then riding over the top of that ridge into the Great Lakes and the eastern Corn Belt. So thunderstorm chances will linger across this region as we deal with a lot of heat across the region. So kind of trying to balance that out there, some of the stress on the crops there. So that'll be a pattern we'll have to kind of diagnose as we get closer to it every couple of days as we deal with kind of those low confidence thunderstorm chances that we often see here late in the summer months. The reason for that, again, we'll just look at the upper level pattern here as we head through the next 10 days or so. We see this trough across the Canadian Prairie right now, the ridge right now being kind of squeezed off to the east, and then you see the tightly packed isobars coming around the base of that trough. That's key. That's the strong upper level support that's interacting with the hot and humid air mass across this region. So with those strong winds, the storm system's rotating around that's what gives us the chance for storms across the region, helping to kind of mitigate the heat stress across the region. Now we do see the ridge build back in and taking back over as we head into the weekend. It's going to be a very hot and humid weekend across the central U.S. Here across the Midwest, we'll see mid-90s once again spreading into the eastern Corn Belt. But as we get to the other side of that, heading into the back half of the weekend and early next week, another trough across the Canadian Prairie, across the Great Lakes here. And again, look at those tightly packed isobars here, or I'm using the wrong term, the tightly packed height lines right here. We are not looking at surface pressure, but you see the tightly packed lines there. Again, that gradient, that strong upper level support, that is northwest flow coming into the region. And again, a pattern like that, that's going to favor thunderstorm clusters from the northern plains down into the eastern Corn Belt, at times bringing severe weather and heavy rains to the region. So let's look finally at the European operational model, kind of getting some specifics here. We'll go kind of quickly over the next several days. I've really hit that pretty hard. Again, the afternoon and evening threat for severe storms across parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin today, in northern Iowa, and then as we head into the overnight, that thunderstorms threat begins to spread off to the south and to the west. Tomorrow afternoon and evening, watching for the potential for some strong storms across parts of Missouri and Illinois, pushing into Indiana during the overnight. As we head into Thursday afternoon and evening, chance for some disorganized thunderstorm activity along that frontal boundary from the Ohio River Valley back into the central and southern plains. We'll see that front slowly lifting off to the north as we head into the late part of the week. So Friday afternoon, as the ridge begins to expand, the frontal boundary lifts back to the north. The heat begins to expand. We'll see thunderstorms popping up from the northern plains all the way across parts of Iowa, Missouri, down into Illinois, Indiana, and Kentucky on Friday afternoon and evening. And then we see our next wave making its way across the northern plains and the Great Lakes Saturday and Sunday, bringing more widespread thunderstorm activity back to this region. We'll see another wave making its way in here Sunday into Monday, and this gets us back to the pattern where the ridge starts sliding back off to the west. We'll reintroduce the chance for thunderstorm clusters making their way from the northern plains into the Great Lakes as we head into next week. So as we just kind of take a look at the probability of getting an inch or more of precipitation from the European ensemble model, it's not going to do anyone any favors for me to just show you a 7 to 8 day total precipitation forecast given the uncertainty with each of these individual thunderstorm clusters. You can see the pattern, though, as we look at the next 7 to 10 days. The best chance for getting soaking rains here are more widespread rain opportunities from parts of, let's call it the Kansas City area northeast into parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin. But the entire region here from the north central plains into the eastern Corn Belt, we'll see the opportunity for these clusters of thunderstorms riding up and over the top of the ridge, dealing with a very hot and stormy pattern as we head through the next 7 to 10 days. So we'll look at the heat expanding as we head into the weekend, and then kind of resetting to a pattern that we're in right now with at least hot and stormy conditions across the central and eastern Corn Belt. But look at this. I think it's going to be Saturday and Sunday. We'll see that heat really peaking across the central Corn Belt, the eastern Corn Belt, into the Great Lakes with mid-90s possible all the way into parts of Indiana and Ohio. Now look at your high temperatures the next several days today. Mid-80s off to the south of that cold front. This is where the front is located here today. And again, that's why that severe weather threat highest across this region. As we head into the day on Wednesday, again, the temperature gradient, follow that gradient. That's where our thunderstorm threat is going to be the highest, Missouri and Illinois for the day tomorrow. Thursday, heat begins to re-expand across the region. We'll see 90s widespread across the Corn Belt by Friday, with mid-90s creeping in as we head into the weekend.